So much focus, so much attention has been placed on this young lady. She has already challenged Chris Evert Lloyd twice. And as Mary and I were speaking earlier today, we decided that this is the prom. This is her coming out party in the world of professional tennis, a world in which she has never been. The pressure of the Grand Slam, the semifinals, only one step away from the final. And all that's standing in her way is one of the great ladies in the history of clay tennis. Here is Gabriela Sabatini. As I mentioned, only 15 years old, from Buenos Aires, Argentina. She is 5'7½". The WTA computer ranks her 17th. Chris Evert Lloyd on the other side of the net. Of course, Chris's accomplishments would take a separate show. Chris from Fort Lauderdale and London. She's 5'6", 120. And currently, the WTA computer ranks her #2, as it has for so long. In her career, an incredible $5,500,000. And here in Paris, a 5-time French Open champion. And Mary Carrillo, let's take a look at her early round results.
She defeated Janine Thompson, an Australian, in very easy fashion, 6-2, 6-1. Then an American, Lisa Bonder, who gave her a tough first set. Next, it was the Greek player, Angelika Kanalopoulou. That, too, a tricky second set. Steffi Graf was the 4th round match. And in the quarters, it was Terry Phelps, 6-4, 6-love. Terry, a real surprise quarterfinalist. And Chris said after that match that she really does, she admitted she didn't pay enough attention to it. She should have taken it a little bit more seriously, and that's why she had that tough first set. For Gabriela Sabatini, it was a pretty smooth road for a few rounds there. She beat Lillian Drescher, Penny Barg of the United States, Ann White. It went down to a tiebreaker. Ann White had all kinds of chances and couldn't win it. Said afterwards that she's beatable. She's beatable. It's a lot of hype. Then she beat Rosalind Fairbank in 3 sets. Forgive me, she dropped that middle set. And the 4th seed, Manuela Maleva, was her most important victim. That in the quarterfinals. That, too, in 3 sets.
So the baptism of Gabriela Sabatini begins at 4:41 Paris time. Mary, how about the tools? What kind of tools does she have to beat Chris?
Well, right now we're looking at probably the weakest chink of the Sabatini armor. Her serve is very much of a spin serve, and if you have to poke fun at it, it's just that she gets so much spin on it and not really that much power yet. She's got everything else. She's an aggressive player from the baseline, from the net. She's got some of the great wrists in this game. She's got creativity. She's very quick-footed.
I'd say she's certainly photogenic, too. She didn't waste any time getting right into the match and charging the net. 30-love. Remember, Chris is a slow starter.
Gabriela's serve, as you see, is very much a spin serve because she arches her back and she's got that toss pretty much in back of her. She does get a lot of nice body into it, and I'm sure she will grow to develop a flat service as well. It's just such a smoothie, such a fluid player. I'm a firm believer in Sabatini. 40-love. Nice first 2 points for Gabriela. If she's in any kind of awe, she's keeping it well disguised.
About it. This young lady is going to force Chris to play. So many people here remember when Chris Evert Lloyd was the young lady that challenged the veterans. We'll continue on USA Sports, but first these messages from our local cable systems coast to coast.
Linda Ronstadt, Rex Smith, and Angela Lansbury star in the smash hit musical The Pirates of Penzance, a USA premiere event at 8 p.m. Eastern, Monday.
If you're an investor, here's an important telephone number from Charles Schwab and an important message.
I work hard for my money, and I want my money's worth when I buy or sell stocks. That's why I use Charles Schwab, the #1 discount broker. I make my own investment decisions, so I like Schwab's policy of no sales pressure, no advice, and no passing judgment on my buy or sell decisions. I like saving up to 76% on commissions compared to what full commission brokers charge. And I like getting services you wouldn't expect from a discount broker. Fast, accurate transactions, clear monthly statements. I'd say I get more than my money's worth with Charles Schwab.
I'm Charles Schwab. You'll like our low commissions, our convenience, and our quality service. That's a promise.
For a free booklet telling what Schwab Discount Brokerage can do for you, call 800-458-6400 toll-free. That's 800-458-6400. Charles Schwab, a Bank America company. Member SIPC.
And now we'll get a chance to see how Chris Evert Lloyd responds to the early serve of Gabriela Sabatini. My goodness, Mary, she really started off greatly. Isabelle Roura of Paris, France, the chair umpire.
First server, Chris Evert Lloyd, certainly never a strong weapon for Chris either.
They've been watching Chris win here in Paris since 1974.
Chris's shot had plenty of depth. Sabatini and a few of the fans, just one or two of them, think Chris's shot was long.
I was going to say, Mary, it's going to be interesting to see how the crowd divides itself in cheering for Chris and for Gabriela Sabatini.
Al, they're going to be for Gabriela. You just know they are. It's impossible to cheer against this child. Has played Gabriela twice. First time it was under extenuating circumstances. Gabriela was very tired. She had played 2.5 matches before facing Chris, and she lost that one. Ran out of gas after the first set, but the second time, what a match that was. These two mixed it up for over 3 hours on a hard true surface, not unlike this, in Amelia Island, Florida, and it was an astonishing match. It's the quarterfinals. That event. And Gabriela had played Chris so hard for so long. I was right at Chris's chair on the changeover, and as Chris was changing sides at 5-2 in the third set, she had the lead. She looked up to a bunch of us and said, "This is the finals of Wimbledon." It was that intense a match. And Chris was so weary after finally subduing Gabriela that she never really could recover. She played Zina Garrison in the finals and lost. And I really attribute a lot of that loss to her mentally, physically, emotionally tough match against Gabriela in the quarters. Chris said, after she lost to Zina, only the 8th person to ever beat her on clay. Chris said, "What? I've won matches like that before, but today, on this day," she said, "I had nothing left to give."
40-15. Much cooler today than it has been this week in Paris.
Gabriela, she kept herself in the points so well. And she surprised Chris a little bit, I think. I think that's what drew Chris's ball long.
Gabriela hitting an awful lot of balls long in that game. And games are 1-all.
What I like about the way Gabriela's playing, Al, is that she's swinging out. She's going for the shot. She's not tight.
Words about the U.S. Open on USA. It begins August 27th. It seems a long way away, but before you know it, it will be here. 10 nights of coverage. We'll begin the first night at 7:30 Eastern Time. September 4th and 5th, we'll have some important quarterfinal day matches, all from Flushing Meadow in New York. White. Gabriela is a former French Open junior champion. She did that last year, and only 3 female juniors have ever gone on to win the big singles title here. Françoise Durr in 67, Mimi Jausevic in 77, and Mandlikova in 81.
Now look at that. Look at that freedom of action. So much fun to watch Gabriela play. She just brings it all back to people who have become jaded by the game, seeing so many monotonous players going back and forth on the baseline. Gabriela singing a song back there. Just to go back to that close match, the Sabatini-Evert encounter the last time they met. Sabatini was asked how she could play a player such as Chris and stay with her so much. They said, how can you possibly have been out there thinking that way? Gabriela said, the cheers I got after the first set gave me power and energy. I just loved it when she said that.
Gabriela's name has been prominently mentioned in the conversations they've had this week in Paris about young players not being allowed to play until they finished high school, or whatever arbitrary rules they create.
Big ITF meeting, a commission has been formed, as a matter of fact, to deal with this subject of when tennis players, particularly on the women's side, should be allowed to play professional tennis. Should they be 16? Should they be 18? Should they be limited in how many events they can play a year? The problem, of course, being that of burnout. So many kids playing the tour, starting so young, and then just fading away from too much pressure, too many injuries. Pato Ape, Gabriela's coach, spoke at that meeting on behalf of Gabriela and himself. A very astute coach, very knowledgeable and plenty of wisdom. And he had some interesting things to say.
Chris Evert Lloyd in front 2-1. That service game for Sabatini, not as smooth as the first.
No matter what unexpected problems should arise, Transamerica Property, Casualty, and Life Insurance can be there to protect you.
Hey, you big ape! Who's gonna pay for this mess?
Transamerica. Insurance, finance, manufacturing, transportation, innovation. The power of the pyramid is working for you.
Investing these days is a little bit like you playing tennis against Jimmy Connors. You're going to need all the professional help you can get. Payne Weber can supply that help. A full range of services and the financial advice to help you make those difficult decisions. Because at Payne Weber, we believe the quality of life just might depend on the quality of your investments.
Hey, great match. Thanks, Jimmy. Thank you, Payne Weber. Next time I'm with those guys on my team, okay?
Back in Paris on USA, you can see even the lineswomen here are appropriately dressed in the city of fashion, Paris, France. Chris Evert Lloyd and Gabriela Sabatini battling here in the semifinals of the French. Mary Carrillo spoke to Steve Flink earlier today about his view of the match.
Mary, they met twice. Chris winning 6-4, 6-love in Hilton Head in the finals, and then only 5 days later they met in Amelia Island, and it was 6-1, 1-6, 6-3 in a very dramatic duel. But I think at this stage, Chris Evert Lloyd is probably playing 20 to 25% better. Gabriela Sabatini, slightly less effective. I think she was in peak form in those days. I think Chris is too solid. I think the rallies are going to be excellent, but at this stage, Sabatini is flashy and too erratic, particularly off the forehand side, and I think Chris will win the match in 2 sets.
Of course, so many of you can see Steve in his commentary on television, radio, and in print. And here's Chris Evert Lloyd and Gabriela Sabatini. First point, Chris serving at 2-1. Up a break already. Mary, the one thing that really surprised me about that Chris Evert Lloyd-Sabatini match was when I first heard the score that Sabatini had gone to 3 with Chris. I said, well, Chris, slow starter. Sabatini won the first set, and then Chris won the next 2. But that wasn't the case.
No, it certainly wasn't.
Chris buried her in the first set, and then...
That's right. And Chris had a very important point in the second set. And Gabriela played the point between her legs for a winner. It shook Chris up. Gabriela went on to win that second set. And it was just some of the most fun I've had watching tennis in a long time. Tough shot to try from there. Normally, Gabriela's shot selection is not that ambitious. She's a very thoughtful player for one so young. She's got a wonderful court sense, that unique sixth sense that you just can't teach people. That one hit the line and skidded below the racket of Gabriela. 40-15. Chris has been in control of these last 2 games. On the line. Such a bold shot. And Gabriela has the facility to take these balls so early and still get a lot of topspin. That's just what she did here. Boom. Big wrist snap. Plenty of body into the shot. She still faces a game point by Chris. 40-30. No reason for that error, Chris is saying to herself. Chris says about playing Gabriela, unless you come in on every point like Martina or Hannah, she keeps you 10 feet behind the baseline on every shot. She said that's a very demanding match for we baseliners, physically, to play. Nice serve, hit the sideline.
Chris Everett Lloyd holding and leading 3-1. You know, Mary, we're watching Gabriela Sabatini. We're wondering, is she the one? In 15 years, is she going to be on Chris Everett Lloyd's side of the net? You had a chance to be with John McEnroe when he was on the verge. It was a great experience to see what happened to him. He was so innocent, as he told me.
Yes, it's just the word he used when he described his first semifinal in a Grand Slam event. That, of course, at Wimbledon. He was much more unknown than Gabriela was coming into this event. But it changed his life forever, and I just get the feeling that the same thing will happen to Gabriela. When John talks about that first year that we were just hanging around, and suddenly he's in the semifinals, he said, we were so innocent. That's the word he says. And obviously he's implying that there is such a loss of innocence once you have proven yourself in a big event.
What the phone call?
He was getting phone call. He was getting famous hourly at Wimbledon of 1977, obviously, getting all the way to the semis. I was getting phone calls for John McEnroe in my hotel room. They were coming to me saying, one particular clothing manufacturer says, we would like to get in touch with John. We would like to offer him 200 pounds if he'll wear our clothing in the semifinals. What can you do about it? And I was just getting calls like this. It got crazy out there.
Of course, there's no price on getting John McEnroe to wear your clothes now.
No, indeed.
15-all, Everett Lloyd in front 3-1.
And now you know that Chris Everett Lloyd had the same exact thing happen to her when she made herself famous in 1970 U.S. Open. Not too many people knew her, but she survived an incredible match, an early round match against Marianne Easel, went all the way to the semifinals. And it made her famous forever. And from that point on, it wasn't good enough for Chris to say, well, I'm just going to go out there and play my best, because we all wanted a lot more from her. And this is such a bittersweet moment for Gabriela, Al, because this is her time, I really believe. This is the last time she can play without pressure. Some error is beginning to come off of Gabriela's racket, particularly on that backhand side. You can see she takes such a vivid slice on that ball, and she's been netting a couple of them. Gabriela a lot more, making her move more. Chris seems to be in better court position now on every one of these rallies. It doesn't look like there's too much between them as the rallies are going on, but Chris is in better position. 30-40. Another break point for Chris. Gives it the nod. What else can she do? She didn't play the point badly, but Gabriela obviously figured Chris was going to go right into her body. And with poise beyond her years, she stuck her racket out and fielded it. Watch it again. Nice playing by Gabriela, working her way into the net and holding her ground. Score is deuce.
That was long from Chris. Advantage to the server. You can see the posters rolling out of the machine already.
Forward movement by Chris. She saw that Gabriela's ball was floating, and she took advantage of it. I think Chris is playing a very good match, trying to keep the pressure on Gabriela. She's being very alert. Her eye is rarely off the main chance. She knows from experience that she's got to stay alert against Gabriela. Well, we've seen that happen sometimes, especially from the players with such big backswings and so much action. The racket speed of Gabriela's backhand, especially that topspin one, her forehand as well, is lightning quick. It's almost surprising she doesn't do that more often. Great point.
Sabatini stuttering a bit. Chris Evert Lloyd, 4-1, her lead in the first set at the 85 French Open. We'll continue on USA Sports, but first these messages from our local cable systems coast to coast.
That sound can mean only one thing. It's the Gong Show.
Are you in for a treat?
On USA Today.
If you're looking for an asset management account that gives you high-quality services without the high price tag, stop looking. It's here now at Charles Schwab & Company, America's leading discount broker. Compare Schwab One with other asset management accounts. With Schwab One, there is no monthly or annual fee, none. When you buy or sell securities, you can save up to 76% in stock brokerage commissions, compared to rates charged by full commission brokers. You can buy or sell no-load mutual funds. You can borrow on your marginable securities at low interest rates. You get high interest on cash between investments, a free Visa card, and free checking. You can open a Schwab One account with only $5,000, not $20,000 like the others. Schwab One, all the financial services you need without the high price tag.
For a free Schwab One brochure and application, call 800-631-1000 toll-free. No salesperson will call. That's 800-631-1000. Call now.
This again is Gabriela Sabatini from Buenos Aires, Argentina, and she's taking on a lady who has won here 5 times. Pressed us so often around the world with her strokes and her poise. Chris Evert Lloyd, 4-1, she leads. Wondering whether Martina Navratilova will look the same on Saturday if she wins here as she did today. Shaky and unsure and unsteady.